of this is about lifting our frequency and our vibration. Because as you know by now, we are vibrational beings. We're not merely flesh and blood. We're not merely stuff that we own. We are vibratory beings, in that as we affirm, as we pray, as we establish intentionality, as we meditate, as we vision, as we embrace our spiritual practices, our vibration is lifted, and the inner sabotage structures within us begin to decay, no longer our default system, and the great broadcast of the Spirit saying, let there be light, let there be love, let there be life itself, is not hindered by little perception. For the presence of God and the presence of love and the presence of beauty, the presence of joy, the presence of intelligence, the presence of peace is everywhere, but not experienced where there is limited perception. So our spiritual community is about planting the seeds for expanded perception so that that which is eternally being given can be received and amplified. Thus we can hear our soul and our group soul magnifies the Lord, magnifies the great law of life according to our unique pattern. So this month our theme has something to do with our, don't tell me. It is, what is the theme? Wait a minute, it's coming. I've been gone for a while. No, that's the topic. The renewing power of our sacred quest. I think that's a great theme. The renewing power of our sacred quest. Now, each of us have entered into the human domain, into the human incarnation as spiritual beings. And whether you have remembered it or not, you have entered here on a quest. You've entered here on a quest to release and to activate, discover, and release your sacred gifts onto the planet, into this world at this time in human history. You are bringing that which is eternal, that which is forever, that which is timeless, and your quest is to bring this into time. And in so doing, you are breaking free from the status quo of our present societies, regardless of what country you live in. Your quest is not to get caught up in the status quo, as so many people do as they put their life on automatic and just fall prey to this social conditioning that is happening. You are on a quest to become more and more and more of yourself so that you stretch the status quo, whatever country that you belong in, so that the world that you've entered into is expanded and stretched because of your human incarnation. Now, that's not an easy thing to do because the prevailing social conditioning is very thick and is very studied, and the technology around that is precise. But nevertheless, that which is within you is greater than that which is within the world. And as you remember that you're really on a quest for to be this kind of a delivery system, then you learn how to navigate through the vicissitudes and the turbulence of this world. You learn how to navigate through paid advertising. Today, that's called the news. You begin to learn how to navigate through disease pockets of racism, bigotry, homophobia. You begin to navigate through the consciousness of greed and materialism and might makes right consciousness. Those are all the turbulence, some of the turbulence that we move through the human condition. You learn how to navigate yourself through that. And as you are holding yourself open to being aware that you're on a quest that's transcending the prevailing paradigm and the prevailing social structures, there is a renewing power in that you cannot get from the world. There's a renewing power in that you cannot get from small accomplishments in the world. There's a renewing power in that you cannot get from the accumulating stuff in the world. For when you're living from the quest consciousness, you become available to the mind of infinite spirit that's thinking through you, called inspiration, and it renews you as you are unfolding to your greater yet to be, and it renews you as you're moving through the vicissitudes of human experience, not getting caught up in the eddies of despair, worry, doubt, and fear, all of that, which is an emanation from the sense of separation and the sleepwalking from the sense of separation that many, many, many human beings live in as a matter of course, as a matter of their normal way of living. It is so normalized that what I'm saying here can seem a bit odd to individuals because individuals just wake up and try to just make it through the day. But when you're on a quest, you're in tune with something that's constantly renewing you because it's coming not from the world. It is coming from the power and the presence and the love of God Almighty, all beauty and all joy. So as you enter into this kind of dynamic as a practice that yields insights, yields revelations, yields great internal changes within you. As this begins to happen, as I said at the top of the service, the frequency, your vibration is lifted, and you become, in some of your circles, a bit odd. You become a bit different. You're not who you used to be. You're not who you're going to be. But you're definitely not who you used to be, and you don't necessarily fit in to the prevailing points of view in your family, in your culture, in your society. And as that begins to happen, and as you begin to rise into vibration and come under the law of grace, that is, the presence of the living God is always giving of itself totally and completely. There's never any withhold in the spirit of the living God. You never have to convince God to give you anything because God is in the giving business. God is always giving all of the time. There's not any withhold. This is grace. You can't earn it, but you can be available to it. But as you come under the law of grace, rather than the law of willpower, you begin to bloom and blossom in areas of your life. First, in the invisible realm, it's activated, and then it begins to manifest as a greater sense of vitality, a greater sense of peace, greater sense of well-being, greater sense of what people might call luck. We've come to understand that as living under cosmic knowledge. And when that begins to happen, as a degree of inner spiritual success begins to take place, and then there's an outpicturing of that kind of success in your life, as you're lifted up in that frequency, sometimes you are talked about. Sometimes people will say bad things about you because you're not fitting anymore in the prevailing paradigm. I'm remembering a statement by Zig Ziglar who said that some people's only taste of success is when they take a bite out of you. And so when you begin to be talked about because of your ascension, because of your rising up, you are to rise and forgive. So the first way that we reverse the curse with our sacred verse is we rise and forgive as a matter of course. It becomes, as I was saying in the earlier service, these aren't ways, these are not lifestyles, these are ways of living. Rising and forgiving, rising and forgiving, rising and forgiving. For every time you rise, there is projection. Every time you rise, there's, and when individuals have an unconscious sense of separation and you rise and have some kind of success in your life, then they project onto you negativity because of their unconscious sense of separation that bends itself into jealousy and envy. So you respond by continuing to rise and forgive, rising and forgiving, rising and forgiving as the dynamic of your life. And so that's step one. Rise with spiritual practice and forgive. Step two, they're coming at steps today. Interesting. Then there is the celebration of the temporary. Everything that you see with your eyes is temporary. Every person that you see in terms of their physical manifestation is temporary. Every relationship that you have, the seasons of the year, the tree planted in your backyard, everything is temporary. And when you can stop and celebrate that which is temporary in your life, sometimes just stop and look at the people in your life and realize that at some point in your life, either you or they won't be there anymore. They will shuffle off the mortal coil. They'll become invisible again, or they'll move, or something might change in that relationship. And when you can stop for a moment and just embrace what is here right now and be aware that it is temporary, it's a temporary situation, and come into a deep appreciation from it, you will unlock your holding on to attachment, and then you'll come into a greater appreciation of what is right now. And you won't regret later that you didn't fully appreciate it when it was in your life at that particular moment. So there's rising and forgiving, and then there's the dynamic of appreciation for the temporary. Just think right now of the people in your life, and just think how you might be just passing them by, or having a perfunctory relationship, or just thinking, well, they're going to be here all the time, whatever the case may be, and you're just moving through your paces. Just stop for a moment and realize that what's here right now, it ain't always going to be this way. And allow your heart to open and come into pure appreciation for what is. Not what you hope to be in the future, just what is right now. So that the sense of attachment can dissolve. And you can enter into this moment full heart rendering open appreciation of the transitory, the impermanence of it all. I'm talking the physical. The only thing that is permanent is the power and the presence and the love of God, which is the same yesterday, today, and forever, invisible, indivisible from our heart and soul. But when we enter into the rising and forgiving and the appreciation of the temporary attachments dissolve, and we can be more present here, more present here. Take a breath with me right here. And then you add this factor. You become bigger than your excuses. In other words, oftentimes people will look at the pathology in their lives, the fears, the doubts, the worries, whatever it is. And they will look back and they will find perhaps the genesis or the reason for the pathology, the reason for the fear, the reason for whatever seems to be welling up at times. And if we're not careful, those reasons can be turned into excuses so that they become our default system in life. That whenever there is some kind of something that produces anxiety or anxiousness, then the default system goes to the reason or the excuse, and we act out. We can be bigger than our excuses. We can be bigger than the reasons through spiritual practice, because spiritual practice allows you, as I was speaking this morning in the meditation service, allows you to separate yourself little by little by little through prayer and meditation from the over-identification with the thoughts that are passing through that have become emotional content and been fired up by emotions over the years. And you're able to see that you're not what is passing through. You are the presence of light and love and liberty and joy. That is your very life and being. And you want to say to yourself, I'm bigger than any reason for the pathology that's moving in my life. I am bigger than any excuse that my egoic mind has given to me that gives me an excuse for acting the way that I'm acting, or saying what I'm saying, or thinking what I'm thinking. I'm bigger than all of this. And then, as you pull those together, you'll understand the meaning of reversing the curse with your sacred verse. A curse is an imprint. How we've been imprinted in our human incarnation. You've been imprinted from the time you took an incarnation. The time you were being born, you were imprinted with things that were being said to you, about you, around you. You've been imprinted with the social milieu. You've been imprinted with society. You've been imprinted with education or miseducation. You've been imprinted. And oftentimes those imprints were not on your behalf, and they are curses in your life. And so you want to reverse the curse by asking yourself, what is the loudest voice in my mind? What is the loudest voice in my awareness? And the loudest voice must be your affirmation, must be your intention, must be the embracing of your quest. That must be the loudest voice in your awareness that ultimately drowns out the imprints of curses And then you'll understand if you have a superstitious way of looking at life, it's not about superstition, it's mental condition. Your mind has just been conditioned around a lie that has become a superstition in your life, but you can break that as you reverse the curse with your sacred verse and say in substance, I am living for the vision of my quest. Now and forever, I manifest and demonstrate harmonizing of prosperity, divine health, and wholeness and well-being. Now and forever, everything is working together for my good. Now and forever, I know that my body temple can heal anything. Now and forever, all of my needs are met. You begin to reverse the curse with a divine and sacred verse that becomes the loudest voice in your awareness. It becomes the loudest voice in your mind. And then you'll discover something else. Today's Palm Sunday, the day in which it was written that Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christ, rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, and there were palms in front of him. People were singing, Hosanna, Hosanna to the highest. And then he wept a little bit. And there's different interpretations about all of that. Well, for me, as he's rolling into Jerusalem on a donkey, which metaphysically means that he had mastered the animal aspect of life, he was dominant over his animal tendencies, riding into the city of peace. And he started to weep, and people always ask, why was he weeping? And what came to me years ago was the fact that he possibly could have been weeping because people were projecting all of this on him. Was he weeping because he was fulfilling the prophecies as it was stated in Scripture? I often think that he was weeping because the individuals were projecting all of this good on him, but they didn't get the real message. They didn't get that they were the light. They didn't get that the ground upon which they stood was holy. They didn't get that he was telling them, I did not come to build myself up. I came to bear witness to God and to build you up. I came to tell you that you are the light. I came to tell you that greater things than these shall you do. I came to tell you, quoting the Old Testament, is it not written, ye are gods? And so all of this projection onto him, he cried, saying, no, you're not going to get this for hundreds of years. And finally, people will get that each and every one of us carry the dynamic of the light, the same light that was found in Jesus, the Christ, the same light that's found in all the avatars that have walked the planet. So perhaps he was crying because they were projecting all the beauty and the love and the power and the potency onto him, though he came to shine it on them, you see. And so as we enter into this particular Palm Sunday and we point our attention towards the city of peace and we embrace the tendency to have dominion over our animalistic tendencies that are running wild with wars and rumors of wars and gross materialism and greed and all manner of price raising and gouging and profit and things at all costs and disassociating ourselves from the love of the planet, destroying our world with fossil fuels and things of that particular nature. As we are walking in the direction of peace, our attention is on peace, we embrace the absolute truth that we are the image and likeness of the presence of God. We embrace the truth that he was trying to bring, that our life is indeed divine, and that greater things can we do, but more importantly, greater things must we do. We must do greater things for such a time as this in human history. And so we are here to reverse the curse, the imprints that have been placed within us. We are to rise, lift our vibration in spiritual practice and forgive those that shoot arrows in our direction. We are to stop and have a deep, abiding awareness of the presence that is never an absence. By learning to navigate through the vicissitudes of the human consciousness, the sense of separation producing paid advertisement. As I said earlier, paid advertisement today is called the news. It's just paid for, you see. and the systems, the diseased systems of racism and bigotry and homophobia and the sense of separation around all manner of greed and avarice, things of that particular nature. We are to stop and to realize that as our attention, you wake up in the morning and you realize that you're on a quest for freedom, a quest to be so free that you can deliver your gifts. Now you're not looking for anything from the world because the world doesn't have anything for you. You have everything for the world. You're questing frequency. Your questing intentionality is giving you moment by moment renewal. So you get your second and your third and your fourth wind on this path to deliver gifts and to expand the paradigm of which we are living. You see, reverse the curse. It came to me while I was recently in Costa Rica and launching the Adaptogen line of supplements that my partners are releasing. And it came to me, this was the longest time in going on 36 years that I've been away from the pulpit. I've never been gone longer than 2 weeks. And when I was gone 2 weeks, I was generally in Egypt, Africa, Peru, somewhere, teaching and exploring those particular countries. And it hit me that I've never missed a Sunday based on illness or anything like that. It's never happened in 35 going on 36 years. And it just hit my awareness that, how does that even happen? And then it became aware to me as I was meditating on today that I'm living in quest consciousness. I have a quest to make a vibrational imprint on the world with this community, an imprint of peace, an imprint of love, an imprint of joy. It's beyond building up Agape. It's beyond Michael Beckwith. It's an availability to why we are here. And it feeds and sustains and uplifts and renews and renews and regenerates and renews and regenerates and renews and regenerates. And you're in a flow of the timeless. So it's not 35 years of Sundays. It's moment by moment recognition of a presence and being available to give God the glory. The presence. The presence. The presence. So I want you to know that you're magnificent. I want you to know that you are the light that lights up every man, every woman, every being that comes to the planet. I want you to know that there's inexhaustible good within you. I want you to know that there's limitless magnificence, within you. I wasn't going to levitate today. I want you to know about you. You want to be more interested in you than in anyone else. You want to be more interested in you than all of the superstars on your Instagram. You want to be more interested in you than anybody that is doing great things in the world. You want to explore your own soul. You want to investigate you and discover that radiance and luminosity of your own being. And like the individuals, as he was going into Jerusalem, don't just project all of this beautiful, good stuff in you onto people out there. You want to embrace it, not from an egocentric point of view, but from a graceful, I know that I'm sent by God. I have gifts and talents and capacities that I want to set free. I want to circulate. I want to live. I want to shine. I want to glow. I want to give. I have to. And living from that quest, through grace, doors will be open. Opportunities will show up as a match to the vibrational frequency of, what did Tony say? The vibrational frequency of your innate worthiness and availability. To the great power, the great presence, and the great love of God. Reverse the curse through a sacred verse that becomes the loudest voice in your awareness. And it carries a timbre and a vibration beyond the words that you're saying. And then there's a vibrational match to that frequency. And things manifest. Case in point. In Costa Rica, last year, I arrived at the Rhythmia Life Advancement Center. I had my notebook. I was preparing to write down all the ingredients I wanted in the green drink, because people always ask me, what do you drink? What do you take? And I tell them the different stuff that I take, and sometimes it's a combination of different things and my shakes and things of that particular nature. So I said, I'm going to produce my own thing. So I'm writing down all the ingredients that are necessary. But I was working with this woman who was having a Kundalini opening. She was expanding in consciousness, and so I was counseling with her, and then I was counseling with her husband. And this went on for a couple of days because it was a very intense experience she was having. So after things had gotten settled down a little bit, I went to this table, and I'm writing. And so her husband walks over to me and says, "What you doing?" And I say, "Well, I'm writing down this supplement line I want to release, and these are some of the ingredients I have to have in it. I have to have my adaptogens in it. I have to have all of the greens. I have to have the probiotics, prebiotics, the digestive enzymes, the fiber, all of this." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "I want ashwagandha in there." And he said, "Oh, I sell ashwagandha." And he tells me the name of his company, and it's the ashwagandha that I buy. I said, "Oh, I buy your product." And he looks at it, he says, "We'll do that for you." I said, "What?" He said, "We'll do it for you. We will put that all together for you. We own Nutri-Rise. That's what we do." He says, we'll help you put it together. We already have all of the structures in place. We can get all the ingredients. We can get it natural and organic. And blah, blah, blah. He said, "You don't have to do anything." I said, "What?" Now, you got to understand, people come to me all the time with stuff. "Reverend Michael, we'll do this for Agape. We'll do this for you." And then a lot of times it's just talk. You know what I mean? So really, you're going to put this all together? He says, "Oh, yeah." So we subsequently meet in person, not Wi-Fi, but WhatsApp. We're talking. It was launched last week. Everything. He was a man of his word. Rumsha and Basim, they did it. We put it together. I'm saying that to say that it unfolded via grace. I didn't know them before I went there. I didn't know that as I was assisting this couple, that it would end up being a relationship in which we would launch a whole new supplement line. I didn't know any of that. I was just in service to God by assisting them. And what I was working on, what I intended at my notebook, manifested under grace in less than a year. I think that's a demonstration. I think that's a demonstration. And it's a good product. So I'm just saying, when you lift your vibration and you follow what I just said with a level of fiery intensity, without willpower, but with willingness, opportunities open up. Shoo. Grace, you're not blocking it. Shoo. Shoo. You're allowing it. Reverse the curse with your sacred verse. Everything is working together for my good. Life is for me. There is nothing against me. Now and forever, I manifest and demonstrate divine and perfect health, harmonizing prosperity, and inspired wisdom. Begin to create your verse that becomes the loudest voice in your awareness. And watch what happens. Let's turn within. We stop in this moment. And what do? We always enter into a feeling tone of gratitude and thanksgiving and dynamic appreciation. We always enter into a feeling tone of, oh my God, I'm so grateful to be alive. Oh my God, I'm so grateful that I exist. Come on with me right into this field right now. I'm so grateful that I exist. Just start with this right now. Just start with this. You don't have to attach it to anything right away. Just, oh my God, I'm aware that I exist. People used to say back in the day, the quote, I think, therefore I am. Well, we came along years later and said, no. I am, therefore I think. We reversed it into its real order. I am, I exist. Therefore, I'm available to inspiration and real thinking. Oh, so we enter into this field of gratitude right now. And what happens in gratitude? Those of you who are taking the Power of Prayer class and those who will be taking the workshop this afternoon by our practitioner students, you will know that then there's a great power of recognition. You begin to recognize the presence in ways that perhaps you've never seen before, never imagined before. You begin to recognize God everywhere. The flowers, the trees, the ground upon which you are standing, the breeze. In each other, you begin to recognize the presence of God. Ooh. And you feel so one with the presence of God. My life is life of God. My life is the life of God. My life is the life of God. My life is the life of God. No distance, no separation at all. Oh, my life is divine, as well as everyone else's life. Divine. That's what Yeshua ben Joseph was trying to tell the folks. Yes, I'm divine, but so are you. But so are you. And from this oneness, the vibrational word can be spoken. It's a sacred verse from the universe, saying in substance, let there be light and love and beauty and abundance and joy and wholeness and wisdom and intelligence flowing through us. I speak this word, knowing that each and every one of us are full to overflowing with the power and the presence and the love of God, and that every organ and every action, every function of our being is lit up from within with a vitalizing health and a full renewable power. Oh, the power of regeneration, renewal, revitalization is happening on a soul level. This is the word that I'm speaking for each and every one of us right now, and it is a word that is a law unto itself that only knows its own unfolding, does not tarry with yesterday, does not have an opinion. It only knows itself, spoken with the authority of one knowing that all that there is God. Let's take a moment here and enter into a heart of compassion. And I want us now to embrace all of the beings that are profiting from war. Individuals that make war implements and bombs and bullets. We want to have compassion for these youngsters on our planet, the babies on our planet that would profit, would make things just for profit. And we were asking the angel of transformation to kiss them and wake them up to the loss and the pain that their war implements are causing. Those that are profiting from the prison industrial system, we want these individuals to be kissed by the angel of transformation, that they begin to wake up to the destruction of souls that they are fomenting by a profit-based incarceration that has more people in jail than any country in the world. We have to have compassion for these youngsters on the planet that wield pseudo power So whether they're bomb makers, bullet makers, and that's how they're deriving their livelihood, we want to have compassion on these beings because we know what they're going to face when they have to face themselves. We embrace our planet, and we invite the love ethic to take over so that the last bastion of egocentricity, nations, can finally turn their swords into plowshares and study war no more, but to study peace, study mediation, study dialogue, study conversation, study collaboration. It's time! It's time! It's time! Don't let paid advertisement bring you to split you into we and them. Don't let it happen. It's insidious. Woo! Be free. Be free. Be free. Be free. The new world is counting on you. Feel into that.